Now we're going to show how to do some basic black eye. For this I'm going to just use a little dilute abrasion blood. Alternatively, you can use a trauma wheel or a red grease paste, but for realism the abrasion material is really nice, and I'm just going to mix it with a touch. This is called a Ben-Nye trauma wheel, and again this is simulated abrasion blood made by Makeup International UK. So I'm just going to mix a little bit of the dark color from the purple from the trauma wheel in with the abrasion blood, and I'm just going to put it on the inside corner of the eye. So blood's going to start pooling about right here. Then I'm going to remove the product, and I could use abrasion blood, but you can also use this trauma wheel. There's a blue abrasion blood, and you can mix that with some of the red to create a violet, but you can also use the trauma wheel for this. And we're just going to put a little pooling of blood underneath that black eye. So now we have a lesion. I can now even take the trauma wheel, and because I've established that strong color with the abrasion blood, I can just bring this up to the inside corner of the eye where I got hit. And I want to be careful how far over I bring this. I'll just bring it to about here. So we already have an effect, but you can then embellish it by just putting a little more pooling of blood underneath the eye. If you want to do a complete black eye, then of course you can run this red right across here, and blood now is going to pool into those tissues underneath the eye in a rather random way. It's going to work its way down into the eye, so we can take our fingertip and blend some of the violet. We don't want too much violet, because the violet is just pooling deep blood that's deeper under the surface that's starting to pool. And I'm being a little indulgent because I have to remove this, and I don't want to irritate my eyes with a lot of heavy removal because I'm doing a few different things here. So I could be a little stronger, but there's our basic black eye. You're working from the inside corner where the injury occurred, where they were hit. You had superficial vessels bleeding, and now the blood's starting to pool underneath the eye. To do a bruise which occurred some time ago, stop the camera. Okay, now we're going to continue. I added a couple of touches to the eye. I took a little bit of the Ben-Nye aging wheel, and I used this light color just on the front of the eye to show a little bit of swelling above the eye, and then I surrounded it with the trauma wheel and filled it in. Give a little bit of a contusion. And you can, again, just apply that with a brush and just come up over the area which is swollen. Paint it right through the hairs, and then just blend the red around it. We can do a swelling effect up here. Next we're going to do a bruise on the cheek, and this bruise occurred several days ago. So we're going to take, what happens is that blood breaks down into a pigment called biliverdin, and then biliverdin is recycled to the liver and eliminated from the body in the urine. And that's what gives the urine its yellow color. Now that's informative because blood kind of goes from red to purple to green to yellow. So we have a mixture of greens and yellows we're going to use. So we'll say that we took a punch on this side of the face. I'm going to take a little bit again of this abrasion, of this bruise medium, yellow bruise medium, take a tiny little bit, and I got hit and it's just starting to heal. And my real fear is that you won't be able to see it, so I'm going to do it on both sides of the face, because if you can't see it, why am I doing this? So you see I've set a base of yellow, which is the last stage of the conversion of biliverdin to bilirubin and its metabolites. They kind of break down into funny metabolites when they're in a wound. And for fun, since I now have to wash this anyways, I'll put on a little of this on the neck to indicate some pooling of blood from maybe a previous choke attempt. You always have to think in terms of the injury and the physics of how the injury occurred, and then open your medical textbooks. Now we're going to take a little bit of the green bruise gel, and I'm just going to mix it in very lightly, and lightly being the key. I'll just spread it up here now. A little bit of light color to indicate the age of the bruise, and blend that in with the yellow. So now we have an area that was struck and is just slowly healing. We can add a little more green for intensity and more yellow to suit. So green and yellow bruises. This is an older bruise that I got a few days ago. This is a swollen eye, and this is now maybe a day into the black eye. This is waking up the next morning, and the kind of contusions that you can see. If you want this more powerful, you can do a tight line or a rim line with a little bit of red. If we want to push up the gore just a touch for this effect, and why not, we take a little more of the simulated abrasion blood, and again using a fine point synthetic brush, I'm just going to take some of the abrasion blood and put it right under the eye to really heighten that effect. So then we just get a little more nastiness to it. And then what the trauma wheel is good for is just taking a little bit of it and blending it very softly and just bringing it around the area of injury. Looks like I got a mark there. Can I do anything with that to make it interesting? There we go. Ultimate Fighter having a really, really bad week. This was Thursday's injury, and there we go. A little bit of George St. Pierre, knee to the eye. There we go. So we just kind of took one in there as well. And then we have an older bruise that we can see here, evidence of bruising in and around the neck area. I left this eye clear so I could show you how to use Ben Nye Mystic Blue. This is Ben Nye Mystic Blue. And what we're going to do with this for now, I think, just keep it simple, is we'll just load it with this synthetic angle brush. Again, angle brushes are nice for this kind of work. And I'm just going to put it right underneath the eyes, and then I'm going to work it in. A little more product, depending on how intense you want to show it. This is to show fatigue, exhaustion, and illness. The three effects. So we just take the Ben Nye Mystic Blue and we just put it under the eye like this. Now a little bit of the red came off there, as you can see, all the much better than I can even, but that wasn't my intention. It's an accident. It's an accident, I promise. I won't do it again. Use the right finger for blending. And there's just some Ben Nye Mystic Blue. So if you want the person to just look really tired, like they haven't had any sleep like this, you can work with a little Mystic Blue. I was going to show you one more thing here. A split lip. I think you're getting the idea that black is used to create depth. So we'll just take a line of black grease paint and just took one right there. Oh, good. See, I love these accidents because they, you know, when I'm working on early cleaning, well, put that in there just for fun. Unintended, though. We just take the black here, and this time not smearing it on our face. One single black line. And then again, taking abrasion blood or a trauma wheel. We have the abrasion blood everywhere except where we want it. And we'll just put a little bit of this on the fingertip. And then just run it along the split. So there we go, split lip. You can put some abrasion blood around it, which kind of shows a little more spontaneous spontaneity in the effect. Boom. So this guy is really should leave the UFC because he's really not doing very well. So again, we have the fatigue effect, various stages of bruise, split lip, and aged bruising. And I hope that's helpful for you to get started. If I think of anything else that's interesting along the way, I will post it. Vampire bites, 2 shots of abrasion blood, and then you can hit it with a little of the black grease paint again. I mean, not that this is a major... Now, if I was doing this for film, I think you know what we would do. We would be reaching for our mortician's wax, and the mortician's wax would then be built in 2 little distinct areas. I hate removing it, and I've already kind of shown you how to use it. It's like a pain in the ass. The way to remove this, by the way, I should tell you, is olive oil. I use a gentle cleanser, and then I take olive oil and I work it into the wax and all this stuff, and it comes right off. So olive oil, keep that handy for experimenting. But you would take a little bit of the mortician's wax and build up 2 little holes like we had for our bullet hole, our punctate bullet hole, and then you would just put a little hole in the center, just poke maybe with the end of a brush, just poke in, and then you could get your vampire teeth mark effects, and that'll last because it's in a mortician's wax, it'll set. And that is about all I wanted to show right now. The broken nose effect I was going to do, but one great little tip is just to get a cotton ball and stuff it in one of the nostrils. And then you can take foundation. This will be a YouTube viral video of me getting tissue lost in my nostril forever. It just pops in here, and that'll distort the nostril. And then you take a little light foundation on this side and some dark on this side. And I don't know if I have time to show it. I guess I can always edit it if it seems to be just too long. So I'll do that now. I'll just take some dark foundation over here. And maybe a little dark foundation here. And then I'll take some really, really light foundation. The joys of editing, because if it doesn't turn out, I can always just get rid of it and do it properly and look like an expert. But again, I'm obviously not an expert. I'm just basic makeup artist, and like this is the kind of stuff you just have to know. So then I'll just take this and blend it out very light. And then I take more of the dark pan stick, and I'm just going to bring it over top and blend it out, kind of show a distortion. And then take the white and just bring it up like this around the dark area and blend that down. And then if I put something in my nose like this, you can see that that from distance starts to read like a broken nose, and I look absolutely ridiculous. But special effects is all about looking ridiculous. But you see how I can disfigure the nose by just putting an object in it, like a nipple, a nipple from an eyedropper, and by creating a dark shadow here and kind of having the white follow it and dark here, it kind of shows a distortion in the shape of the nose from distance. So that's a nice little effect you can do as well. So hopefully this was useful, and you can see me okay. And hi Mom. Just kidding. She doesn't watch this kind of stuff. Take care.